constant stream of people that wanted to help us and said, not only did they want to help, they actually said, thank you for giving us a vehicle or an opportunity to help.
You know, after the Syria-Turkey earthquake last year, the Emirates Red Crescent organised a drive to pack up food, parcels and other things for people. And people from all over the city came to take part in that. Oh. And I thought that was a really nice thing.
I hope that one day this place will shut down because there is no need anymore to support people who are in need.
Dubai was founded in 1833, then just a tiny little fishing village on the edge of the desert, simply a resting place for Bedouins. Fast forward nearly 200 years and Dubai is a jewel in the Arabian Peninsula and one of the 7 Emirates of the UAE, famous around the world as the go-to luxury tourist destination. Home to more 5-star hotels than anywhere else on the planet, where locals once dive for pearls, they now shop in luxury malls and dine in the finest Michelin star restaurants. But if you think you know Dubai, that this is all the city is about, then I have news for you. I'm Kate Garraway, and in this series, I'm going to meet people that will open your eyes and your mind to another Dubai, the one that is unheard, to show you what this city and its residents are all about. A place where East meets West, where women can and do lead the way, where science is saving resources and selflessness is saving lives. We'll meet people who want to turn what you think about this city on its head and tell a totally different story about Dubai and its amazing people. Having spent some time in Dubai, I've found a city and a culture beyond the flashy cars and luxurious hotels that's deeply committed to generosity. Scratch the surface and you'll find a community driven by the ethos of giving. Zakat stands as one of the fundamental pillars of Islam, embodying both a charitable act and a religious duty. This involves giving a portion of savings and wealth to those in greater need. Sadaqah describes a voluntary charitable act towards others, whether through generosity, love, compassion or faith. These guiding principles, although very private, are seen more than ever at this time of Ramadan. I want to explore how this spirit of generosity and social responsibility manifests itself in the city. Over the past 20 years, Dubai Humanitarian has helped more than 130 million people across 116 countries and is the single largest humanitarian hub in the world. Dubai is perfectly placed as a strategic geographic position on the path between the Middle East, Asia and Africa. It enables the humanitarian community to reach 2/3 of the world's population in hazard-prone areas within hours. This place is absolutely enormous. Nearly 140,000 square meters of warehouses and office space, all gifted by Dubai's ruler in aid of humanitarian relief. I've come here to speak to one of the masterminds behind this operation, Jihad Abdulmula. So what is your strategy then?
Okay.
What's the mission?
The mission is to support all the humanitarian actors around the world.
Right.
To be the largest humanitarian hub.
Okay.
We are holding the biggest humanitarian stock around the world in this city.
And what sort of, give me an idea of scale. What kind of scale of stock?
Currently, we are talking about more than $180 million value of items stored in this area.
What sort of things are you storing
We're
to supply?
talking about shelter items, medical items,
Yes.
security items, everything you think of that is usually required while you're responding to emergencies.
Yeah.
So all those items are here to be ready to be dispatched whenever there is an emergency happening around the world. What we do here, usually when a disaster happens, the residence coordinators in the affected countries, they need to have some information.
Yeah.
What are the items available? Who has the stock? Where are they located? And usually this takes some time to get this information, and time is very crucial in our operations. So what we have done, we created this digital platform where
Right.
we have all the items available here. So by few clicks, he can know where are the items, who is the stock owner, and what is the quantity available. So
Amazing.
instead of waiting a couple of hours, or maybe days sometimes to get the information, he can get this in a couple of minutes.
And as you say, speed is so important to getting
Exactly.
it to the right people when they need it.
There are 11 hubs around the world
Yeah.
who is pre-positioning humanitarian stock for international use.
Right.
One of them is Dubai, and the biggest is Dubai. Okay, so what we have done, we are linking now all those hubs in digital platform. So wherever the disaster is happening, whoever is going to use this platform, he just needs to choose the nearest country to him and see what is the stock available.
So clever.
Within hours, Dubai Humanitarian can dispatch a wide range of aid across the world, from armoured vehicles and protection for aid workers to toilets and medical tents. This is one incredible feat of logistics.
Sometimes the cost of transportation of the items
Well,
is
I was
even
gonna ask
more
you
than
about-
the cost of the items itself.
Wow.
But you have to deliver it no matter.
Right. So the cost of getting it there is more expensive than the kit, which is why I guess getting as much onto every plane is vital.
Exactly. And this is one of our tasks always, that to make sure that we use the plane to the maximum when we are dispatching any items.
Right.
And we make sure that we dispatch the right items.
Yes.
It happens so times that we have the cost of the transportation
Yes.
is even more of the cost of the items of the plane.
Wow.
But regardless, both doesn't matter in comparison with the cost of the people's life.
But who pays for it though?
From our side, we support the transportation of those items to the affected countries. And we have two
When you
ways.
mean we, who's the we?
Okay, we as Dubai government.
The Dubai government.
Yes.
Okay.
So-
So they pay for all the transportation. They pay for
Yes.
the planes
Exactly.
and they're getting there.
Exactly. And we have two types of doing this. Sometimes we charter flights and we pay.
Yes.
And sometimes we use the private jet of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid.
Wow.
And the last example we did is we had an air bridge a couple of weeks ago in response to Gaza crisis, and we did 11 flights back and forth.
Wow.
I was on those flights, just carrying items, medical items mainly. And before that, in October, we did also another air bridge. And last year, we did 36 flights in response to Pakistan crisis as well.
So you often are actually on the flights. What's that experience like?
It's an amazing experience, Kate,
Is it?
honestly. Before I joined Dubai Humanitarian, which is not too much, 16 years ago only,
That's quite a long time.
I had really a different perspective about life.
Right.
I didn't know what is the humanitarian is, what humanitarian work is, how people work, how important it is, until I joined Dubai Humanitarian. And then I realized that people, they think that when they give money and donate, that they have done their part. But trust me, the journey starts after that.
Wow.
The easiest part is to donate. But all the operations happening after that, procurement, storage, dispatching, distributing, make sure that reach the right beneficiaries, make sure the items reach in the right condition, make sure that you send the right items to the affected countries. It's different. It's amazing. It's enlightening the way I look to the life, honestly.
So how do you work? I imagine there's a bit of you that's always looking at the news, that's thinking about it. Or when you see, unfortunately, a crisis developing, what happens? Do you think, right, I need to pack a bag? Or do you always have a bag packed?
I don't have a backpack, but I have a list on my phone that with all the
Right.
items that I need to tick when this
Toothbrush.
happens. Exactly. Everything, the main requirement.
Yeah.
But before
And
that...
do you have a family?
Exactly. Before that, what I do, just whenever a disaster happens, the first thing I do, I just go to my wife.
Yeah.
Say, listen, I'm going to be away for a few days. Please, be aware of that. Give me some time, And then now she knows. At the beginning, it was, a shock for her. Exactly. Why you are leaving me alone? And then now she follows the news more than I do. So
So
whenever
she
a
knows, she
disaster
sees
happens or
something.
something, then she has to prepare herself mentally that Jihad will be away for a few days.
And the logistics don't end with the delivery of aid. One of the first and most crucial steps in the process is establishing communication once workers arrive in the affected areas.
When
Yeah.
the first deployment of staff goes to the field, they
Yeah.
send these items with them because they have to start communicating with headquarters, with their management. They have
Yeah.
to inform them what is happening on the ground, what is happening on the field, give them a right update so they can take the right decisions. Communication, Kate, is very crucial and very important in humanitarian work.
You don't know what the need is until you get the information, I guess, do you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And based on that, they start planning the whole response plan to the emergency. And that's why those items are very crucial. And if you can see, it goes like a bag, easy to take on the flight.
So all of that gets into one of those.
Exactly.
Again, it's about saving that space on the plane.
Space and make it faster and easier to reach.
Yeah.
So instead of waiting for a cargo flight to take these items, you can just take like a normal flight and go there.
You must be so proud of the work that you do.
Yes.
I also wonder if people would be surprised that the biggest kind of humanitarian hub is here in Dubai. Do you think there's something about the culture of Dubai that makes this kind of so in your blood, if you
With
like?
no doubt, Kate. With no doubt. That we have been raised on this since we were kids. And even before that.
In what
we
way?
have learned this from our leaders. Late Sheikh Zayed, late Sheikh Rashid, all of them. I mean, since we grew up, since we start understanding life, we know that if you want to get, you have to give. And this is how we live.
Wonderful.
We feel this is an obligation somehow. It's not an option. It's
You
an
just do it.
obligation. You have to do it.
Yeah.
When someone in need, you have to help as long as you can.
Dubai Humanitarian also has some of the largest refrigerators I've ever seen,
You can see now it's already minus 18.6.
which are essential for keeping a vast quantity of medical supplies at their precise required temperatures. And these were used to store and manage COVID vaccinations during the pandemic.
Oh my goodness. That is seriously cold.
Jihad shows me around one of the main warehouses, filled with rows upon rows of supplies ready to be shipped for aid relief.
I'm taking you through one of the warehouses
Wow.
just to give you an example. Of
It's like a cathedral of supplies, isn't it? It's
Exactly.
huge.
Exactly.
So you've got this incredible space. And how many warehouses in total?
There are 72 warehouses.
72 warehouses,
Yes.
all able to hold vital supplies like this.
All those warehouses are provided free of charge to those organizations from
Wow.
the government.
Wow.
This is just to support and make sure that they use it to support responding to emergencies around the world.
Right, so they can save their funds for the response.
Exactly.
Not for the cost of
Of the facilities,
everything.
yes,
Because I imagine that takes up a huge amount of money.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So all the
Storages.
money is going to the people who need it. I find it very moving to be here, actually, to think of all that energy and effort going into saving lives. Have there been moments when you've been affected, when you obviously focused on your job, but then you step back and realise what's happening?
You might be surprised of what I'm going to say, but usually all love relationship, we always hope that it will continue forever. I love this job, but this is the only love that I hope that one day it will stop. Which means that I hope one day I will stop working in the humanitarian sector because there is no need anymore. I hope that one day this place will shut down because there is no need anymore to support people who are in need. This is something, it's a dream that I hope one day it come true.
Well, thank you so much for showing me
My
around.
pleasure,
It's
Kate.
been very moving for me, and I think it's extraordinary what you're doing here. It's brilliant. It's a great job.
Pleasure
And
meeting
it's
you.
great
Thank
work
you very much
do.
for visiting
Thank you
us,
very
Kate.
much
Have a
indeed.
lovely day.
Now, how do I find my way out?
This way.
This
I will
way.
take you through.
Okay, I could be stuck here for years. The scale of this place is mind-blowing, actually. Warehouse after warehouse after warehouse full of vital goods, just all organised in the way to get relief as quickly as possible to where it's needed. And right at the heart of it, as you can see with Jihad, there's just such a personal, cultural kind of want to do good that just drives the whole thing forward. It's very moving to be here.
One of the organisations working closely with Jihad at Dubai Humanitarian is the International Committee of the Red Cross. I'm meeting Claire Dalton, an English expat and head of operations in the UAE. So Claire, we're sitting in this extraordinary facility, Dubai Humanitarian, and it's really, moved me actually. It's an extraordinary setup and the work that you're doing here is so great. How did you come to be here in Dubai at all?
Well, I was posted here actually. So I came here about 3 years ago to head up the International Red Cross. I'd come from a lot of different kinds of places. So this to me as well, I was also equally surprised, like, wow, they have all these, services and facilities. We're a lot of different humanitarian organizations here. You've got the Red Cross, you've got the UN, United Nations, World Food Programme. But we can all kind of talk together too, because we're all here, about what needs to be done, how could we coordinate what we do, how do we not duplicate so we're not all giving the same thing. It's been here 20 years. So it's a long time that, in fact, Dubai has been quite quietly delivering humanitarian aid around the world.
Why do you think that is quite quiet, not worn as a badge in a kind of shiny, showy-offy way, I guess?
People don't realise necessarily that there is all this giving that comes out of this country. And I think, too, people are very generous, but it's something that's quite private culturally. So people are giving a lot at particular times of year, like now it's Ramadan, so people, give more. However, I think the government, and since the setup of the UAE, there's been this idea of, humanitarian giving is part of the culture.
And you're a mum, you've got 2 teenage boys. That's quite a humanitarian crisis at times, isn't it, on the domestic front? What's it like? I imagine with you as their mum, they've got a sense of giving and humanitarian feeling running through them like rock, so they've already got that there. But living here in Dubai, how has that been for you and for them?
Well, again, it's been really good. I mean, like I say, I've been living in lots of different countries with the job. One of my children was born in Jordan, the other was born in Nairobi, so they've grown up in lots of different places. What's nice here is I think they felt quite quickly at home because it's a very diverse city and there are people from all parts of the world. And as a mother of teenage boys, I'm also happy that it's safe.
Yeah.
So I'm not stressed. I mean, I have to work quite a lot, obviously, but I don't worry in the same way I might do in another place, what they're up to, so to speak.
Your work as well is also working at a kind of diplomatic level as well as down on the ground in times of need. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, I think that's also very interesting because people forget that. Those two things come together. Like, in order to be able to do what we do on the ground, we need to have a dialogue at a diplomatic level with different countries who have influence one way or another. And I feel like because I worked in all those, kind of more operational contexts, when I was much younger, I'm more able to do that diplomacy job because I can understand the two things. And it's important. I mean, here, recently there was the climate conference in Dubai, and something for us that is important is this idea of recognizing the impact of climate change in war zones, because people obviously are a bit like, there's a war, what about climate?
We can't worry about recycling now.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's still important because as we don't want to give humanitarian interventions that somehow make the situation worse.
Tell me an example of how that could happen.
Well, for example, sometimes, in refugee camps, humanitarian organizations are providing diesel, or sometimes we're trucking water in big trucks, because people have fled from a terrible situation and we're just trying to do whatever we can to help them immediately. But we're not always thinking about the kind of aid we're giving in terms of what impact that has over time. So something we've tried to do is put the two things together. So of course you've got to respond quickly, but try to make sure what you're giving or offering isn't going to do any harm to the environment.
Very often people around the world to respond to whatever the lead news story is, and is there a challenge here in Dubai, or is there a facility where the other needs that perhaps aren't headline news also get served?
What I found here is there's always a willingness to spotlight the kind of lesser known crisis or disaster. People obviously follow, the crises, as put on the main media channels. And so other situations that are just as bad may get forgotten. So, for example, we've been able to do that on, countries in Africa that are experiencing, big crisis, but people have forgotten, like Central African Republic or countries in the Sahel. And that's important.
Tell me about some of the personal experiences you've had that have moved you. It could be little things or big things where you've seen how the aid from here, or generally the work you do with the Red Cross, if that's easier, how it impacts on the ground, is that sort of tangible sense of which must be such a rewarding thing about your job.
After the Syria-Turkey earthquake last year, the Emirates Red Crescent organised a drive to pack up food, parcels and other things for people. And people from all over the city came to take part in that. Oh, and I thought that was a really nice thing because, again, I often get people calling me because they know I work for the Red Cross saying, what could we do? How could we help?
Yeah.
And, my organisation is very big, so it's quite hard as an individual to be part of that. However, here, you've got these opportunities for people who want to volunteer or take part in something. And I always think that's really nice.
Yeah.
Because people, in a way, they want to help, but maybe some can give a lot, maybe some can't. But then you can be part of something.
Well, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, and it's incredible the work you're doing here. So lovely to see you.
Thank
and
you so much for having me. Thank you.
Good luck with it all. Not all humanitarian efforts are on a global scale. The ethos of Sadaqah, giving, can be seen everywhere. Acts of kindness in the community, particularly at Ramadan.
Like this group of volunteers for the Emirates Red Crescent, handing out thousands of iftar boxes during the holy month.
And it's acts like this that are replicated right across the city. And it's such an example of the spirit of generosity and of social responsibility that you'll find when you come here to Dubai.
Another person making a difference on a local scale is Kelly Harvard. She's hugely involved in the community, contributing to the Goodwill Initiative, which hands out 1,500 free meals each night before iftar in her local mosque.
Kelly, it's so lovely to meet you. How did you, a girl from the UK, end up here in Dubai?
So I ended up in Dubai here in 2008, and I came for work, as many people do. And I have to tell you that Dubai in 2008 was not quite the Dubai that it is now. And we didn't have any social media, so there was no way to really research it. So it was really quite a big leap of faith. I can remember sitting down with my mom and saying, right, I'm going to move to Dubai and I've got this job. And she was being a mom, she was super supportive. And I remember Googling Dubai and all we could kind of find was like a video with a bit of desert and some falcons. And I remember her going, okay, that sounds brilliant, darling, as a mum would. But I'm sure inside she was thinking, why? And where is Dubai exactly? And so it was a huge leap of faith.
And what was the job you moved for?
So I work in public relations, and I went from my job in the UK doing PR to moving out here to looking after an international team.
What then led you to get involved in the humanitarian work that you do?
So the humanitarian work that I do really comes from when you live in Dubai. Yes, you see the glamorous side of it, and you see the skyscrapers, and you see the incredible events. But you also realize that there's an incredible community as well. And the community is really focused on giving back. And it's really part of the culture here. And Ramadan is the perfect example of this because you have 30 days, it's a full month. And, we might know Ramadan because it's the time when Muslims fast and they don't drink during the daytime. Actually, Ramadan is this incredible experience. It's all about gratitude and reflection and giving. So Ramadan is a really obvious time of year. As expats, we'll normally start talking about it the month before, and we will say, what are we doing for Ramadan this year? How are we going to give back? What are we going to do? How are we going to help? There's just a culture of giving and generosity in Dubai that I wish more people could see and know about, because it's literally everywhere, every day.
And it is also one of the pillars of Islam, isn't it? It runs right to the core of the people that were born in Dubai and grew up in Dubai.
Of course. So it's zakat, which is one of the 5 pillars, as you say, and it's a requirement that you give a percentage of your income. You give it away so that you can support other people, other communities that might need it, which, what a fantastic concept. And that, I think, really does, like you say, it really is woven through the culture here, that we give, we look after one another. If you ask for help in Dubai, help comes. I have hundreds of examples of when I've asked for help, we have asked for help for the community, and people show up, complete strangers in many, many cases. People want to help. It's their default position. It's not like, oh, persuade me. It's like, you need help? Sure, what do you need? And then that's how it works, and it comes. It's a really, really incredible thing.
So you got involved because you saw the way the community was here and you wanted to be a part of that wonderful energy. What specifically have you been doing?
So the first thing that we did, it all started many, many years ago. There was an amazing initiative called the Ramadan fridges, which I cannot take any credit for. It was not my idea. But it's a really simple, beautiful idea. You take a fridge, you put it outside your house or your office or your school, and you fill it with snacks, juices, food. And then people, when they're passing, if they're on their way to iftar, if they need a snack or a drink, they can come and take what they need from the fridge. And it really captured people's imaginations because it's a pretty simple concept. You know, you have the fridge, you fill it, people take it, you fill it. And we decided to put one outside our house. And we live in Jumeirah 1, which is one of the older original neighborhoods in Dubai. It gets a lot of foot traffic, a lot of bike traffic, lots of
A lot of
gardeners.
people perhaps travelling from jobs.
Exactly.
Haven't got food handy at the moment when they come and break their fast.
Exactly. And very quickly it turned into this huge number of people that were coming every night to our fridge. So we went old school. We created some flyers and we went and we walked the streets of Jumeirah 1 and we knocked on doors, we knocked on gates, and we introduced ourselves and we said, we're Kelly, we're Alex, this is our house, this is what we're trying to do. We would love it if you would help us. Within a day, I mean, my doorbell did not stop ringing. It would ring from 6 o'clock in the morning to 10 o'clock at night, maybe even later. People coming, people doing orders, grocery orders to our house, people turning up in trucks, people going to the supermarket, filling their cars, bringing us what we needed. Constant stream of people that wanted to help us and said, not only did they want to help, they actually said, thank you for giving us a vehicle or an opportunity to help. So that was one thing. People came and, well, they sent things and they donated to us. And then the next thing was people would come to our house, maybe from 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They would sit on the floor in my garden and they would make packs. They would make food packs that we then gave out at iftar time. I mean, I would come home from work, I would literally open my front gate and there would be, I swear, hundreds of people. I've never met them before. They're complete strangers, just sitting together, making packs. Somehow we had a system together that somehow worked. Just, never met before, complete strangers side by side, doing something for the community. And then we would go outside and we would give the food. So yeah, it was just such a beautiful thing. It started with a fridge and it just brought so many people together. We did it for many, many years and then we had to stop when COVID came.
Right, so COVID prevented, doing that because of all the safety and restrictions that were in place. So when COVID began to lift, you adapted, didn't you?
Yeah, we did adapt. So the fridges were no more and we'd really missed them and the community had missed them. Our neighbours would literally, as we're passing them in the street, would be like, what about the fridge? Are we doing the fridge? And we'd be like, no fridge. So we had to find something because there was just this huge appetite of people wanting to give and wanting to help. So we partnered with a local mosque, which is just down the road from us in Satwa. We got all the permits that we needed to be able to give food and we set up another project there. And very similar, every day we gather, we have a partnership with a local restaurant. They provide food for us, they provide meals. And every evening we meet, we unload the meals, we set them up and we give just as we used to do with the fridge.
And now it's pretty large scale, the people that you help. How are those logistics going?
So the logistics are going pretty well, actually, because we're in our 3rd year now. So we've kind of got a pretty good rhythm.
How many people are you trying to feed? Do you remember that?
1,500.
Right.
Yeah, maybe up to 2,000 as we get closer to Eid. So I always say to people, I hope you didn't go to the gym today because we're going to get you to do some quite heavy lifting. They actually work as a team. It's a beautiful thing. You see strangers coming together. You might have a CEO, you might have a teacher, you might have a child. They all work together. We bring the food into the mosque. We'll set it up. And then we give. There's quite a lot of logistical work to do before we even give a meal to anybody. And yeah, I have to tell you, when you're in that mosque, something really magical happens.
Talk to me about your experience of tolerance of all the different faiths. Dubai is fundamentally a Muslim country, and many people from outside UAE and Dubai will have preconceptions of what that might mean if you live here and you're of another faith, as you are. How does it work? How have you seen it work?
When it comes to tolerance, there is a law that says everybody is free to practice their religion. A few years ago, the Pope came to visit.
Right.
It was a huge, 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 huge event for us. They actually closed the schools so that
Did they?
Yeah, so that everybody could have the opportunity to go if they wanted
So
to.
whatever faith, not just for those who are Roman Catholic.
All completely closed. And he went to a huge stadium in Abu Dhabi. He drove there. And, I'm not Catholic, but I was obviously interested. It's a huge cultural moment. But then all of us suddenly became completely whipped up in this story. And we could watch it live, right? We were watching it live on the news on my laptop. And my daughter came into the room and she was sat with me and she was like, who's this? We're chatting about the Pope. And then the Pope was with Sheikh Mohammed. And then they're walking hand in hand. I swear I cried real tears. And we all became immensely moved by this.
Fantastic, fantastic. How do you feel personally about the impact of your work? It sounds like Dubai and the communities here have given so much to you. Do you feel proud of the impact of the work you've done on the community here as well?
I do feel really proud of the work that we've done. And if there's anything that I would want people to take away from it, is that, you don't have to be a billionaire philanthropist. I'm an ordinary person that managed to connect with other ordinary people to do something extraordinary. And I would really encourage people to think about what they can do in their communities. It doesn't have to be on a huge scale.
It was so lovely chatting to Kelly because so much in Dubai is on a massive scale, the tallest building, the biggest this or the whatever of that. And we went to Dubai Humanitarian and the scale of that kind of help and giving was huge and impressive. But what's so lovely about what she's done is she's brought it down really small to the community, and she's like so many others in Dubai doing the same thing. And it's really having an impact on her and also on the people around her. And I love the fact that she describes her life as really rich, even though in terms of money, it's pretty ordinary. But what she gets from living here and the community and the lifestyle is worth £1 million. So it was just a fascinating different side to a successful life in Dubai.
In the next episode, I'll explore how sport, fitness and well-being run through the veins and streets of modern Dubai.
This racket was given to me by Juan LeBron, which was world number 1. So I'll give it to you to try a game against me.
Okay. I'm a bit old for a pirate, aren't I?
You're never too old.
Never too old to be a pirate.
Not too old.
Got an idea that I could run 30 marathons back to back in 30 days. And
Why would you do that?
Click subscribe for our weekly episodes, and you can also listen on all podcast platforms.